Hello there. Welcome to the Kirkman wrap-up show for February 22nd, 2021. Today's show title was Golden Gloves, based off of the award that Ben Albright won in the military because he was such a top-notch boxer that they awarded him the military Golden Gloves. I am joined today who it seems like is becoming a Monday regular. I'd love to have on as a Monday regular. He's welcome whenever he'd like. Is Andrew Augustus. How you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing great, and I'm still not a parody. I feel like every week I'm going to keep reminding Steve that I'm not a parody. I don't need to hide behind anything. I am who I am, and that's basically to it.
Yeah. So, yeah, because, I mean, you guys were talking – we'll get into that later on, but you guys were Kirkanoff was brought up on today's show a little bit at the end there. So let's jump into kind of what the heat of the show was. Actually, no, let's start off where it originally started. So I thought Kirk was going to come in and just hands-on attack Ben Albright, just go right after him. They didn't really do that. They kind of talked about this Woody Allen documentary, which I don't know. I haven't seen. I don't know if you've seen. They talked a little bit about Chris D'Elia and his apology that came out. If you want to hear more about that, the Blind Mike Project, he does like 50 minutes on it. It's grand. Before they kind of got into the Albright situation and all everything with that. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on the Woody Allen documentary. I don't think I've ever seen a Woody Allen movie. I'm just not an old movie guy.
I mean, the thing with Woody Allen, you've heard the stories for years. It's always been going around. It's been no secret. And to put it in perspective, it goes to show you. And I was even having this thing. It's like, at what point when you go to get rid of quote unquote cancel people and stop supporting them, it's like, Woody Allen was a horrible man, and I like to think I'm mature enough to be like, all right, this guy's a horrible piece of shit. What for everything? The same thing can be said like across the board. Like my biggest thing, and you even heard the when I was doing my re-listen, they're actually talking about the Chick-fil-A when they actually pulled out all the things, and it's like, oh, you're not going to go support these people. I support Ben and Jerry's. I don't agree with them politically. I support Chick-fil-A. I don't agree with them politically. It's like you should be able to separate the man from that, and now that it all comes out with Woody Allen, it's just a truly, it shows who he really was. I think it could have been worse, a lot worse. I think it was kind of a little light for it, but overall, it's the show. The guys wrapped up at says like, yeah, he's a creep. Yeah, we all knew that. And the Chris thing's even worse. That one's just disgusting. And
it's just strange how he went through the apology of just pretty much saying, yeah, he doesn't even address the fact that people think he was fucking children. It was just it was just the fact that
what was it like? Only in the beginning, it was like they were all above 18. Well, dude,
yes, he says that once, and then he goes 30s, on.
If you're in your late 20s or 30s and you're doing that to an 18-year-old, that's still kind of creepy.
It was just a whole situation. But so then they jumped into the Ben Albright stuff, and I was at first a little upset that they didn't kind of dive into Albright on the Friday episode. I was like, how's this going to sit well over the weekend? I am so happy they waited till Mike was there. Mike was coming in with one-liners. He was remembering things that happened. It was just to kind of get the quote-unquote gang back together to just revisit the Albright situation. Kirk's going after Chaps. He's saying, the more I think about it, the more pissed off I am that this whole Chaps thing happened. And K. Marco got fired because of, this is kind of where the whole K. Marco thing started. It's just so interesting. I really don't know what to say about Ben Albright. I'm ashamed to admit I've listened to more Ben Albright than in the past week than one person should in a lifetime. He's just a liar.
Those Denver ads for his radio, they'll keep him going because you're his target market all the way here.
Oh yeah,
in the Northeast. It's the thing is about Chaps. I know he's not listening to this and he's completely ignorant to it. I mean, if KMS quotes, plays it right, tags him in it, and I think he might have done some already. If I'm Chaps and I see this now, if you can't understand how stupid this makes you look for back then. And if he had any smarts to him and wanted to squash anything, because let's face it, the Minifans could easily just start like after this episode, tomorrow could be a Chaps nightmare for him with the Minifans if they wanted to. You could start tweeting at him, call him an idiot. Oh, how's your boy Albright? This and that, blah, blah, blah. If Chaps is just smart, he can get out in front of it. Just be like, look, I was wrong. He should. He really should. I doubt he's going to be listening to this, but if he's smart, get out in front of it. Just apologize. Look, I was wrong. I'm glad that Kirk didn't get fired over this. I'm sorry for even doing that. Albright's an idiot. That's basically all you need to say, and the Minifans won't attack, and they'll just kind of be like, all right, he kind of gets it type of thing. Because even you could tell from Kirk's tone today, like, yes, he said that he was kind of like Chap should be fired. Now, do I really think deep down Kirk thinks he should be fired for that? No, because definitely K Marco did a lot worse to the show than what Chaps did. Chaps was just an idiot move, but to have all that now come out and to see Albright attack another show, which I liked the interview, the sound quality of it was a little difficult when Nikki was talking sometimes here and there, but overall it was great to get those guys on.
It was a slow build. It was at first I was like, this is going to be a train wreck, and then they started coming with like the photographer things. It was funny. There were some funny moments in that interview. Definitely.
Yeah. Now we have a new ally in the Glamazons. So like, exactly. You know what? If they're ready to go to war, we're all ready to go, and vice versa. So it's anytime we can get the extra team on our time, it's perfect. So I'm taking that part as a win, and you make Albright look more like an idiot, and then. I had to go back when I was listening because when he starts talking about parody songs and all this, I'm still trying to figure out where the hell this came up from. It's just so random, so stupid. So I
know why. So they had Friday's night is 80s night on that show for some reason. So all the intro music is like 80s music. And do you know the song Lola? Lola? There's a Weird Al Yankovic parody song called Yoda.
Yeah,
and so they played that to intro, and they were laughing.
Yoda instead of Lola.
Yeah, they played Yoda, and then they were like, "Oh, Weird Al," and then they started talking about parody songs and everything like that. So that's how it all came to be. It wasn't through the text line or anything like that. I just thought Kirk might find it funny.
It was just so random, and even like, and I think what made this so perfect to have Mike in to talk about this as well as a backup is the fact that if you put Mike, Kirk, and Steve in a room. And ask the three of them, tell us something about the show from when the Albright thing happened. Mike's going to be the one to know. It's going to go over. Kirk has so much on his plate. He won't remember. Steve's got a lot on his plate. He won't remember. Mike's just going to be like, I remember this. I remember that. And you're just firing it off. And like I was saying, when we were talking the other day with just about the guys, like I love Mike coming in this once a week. He comes in with the one-liners, comes in with the confidence. Like this Monday Mike is like a completely different Mike than you had from all the way back when the show was first started and going. So it's a good blend, and just the way he could easily remember everything Albright, talk about it, threw in the one-liners, it just keeps piling on. And I think that the idea is right. Kirk is right in the point that if Albright doesn't like when you don't mention him, he hates when you bash him and keep calling him a liar.
Yeah.
I was not following him, but I wasn't blocked. And then Friday, I clicked follow, never tweeted at him, never did anything. I was blocked within 10 minutes. So he's thin-skinned, tiny. I'm going on the text line at 9:00 tonight. I'll have my Google Voice ready to go, and I'm going to try to get on it. I have some good questions about Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, no, it should be exciting. We're doing that again tonight, so hopefully people, call in. I'm going to be posting the number on Twitter and everything like that. KOA in Denver from 9 to 1 a.m. Eastern time. So if you're available, try to call or text in. There's also a text line that apparently they pay a lot of attention to because Jared, quote unquote, Jared kept texting them in on Friday with just these stupid points like, do you think Drew Lock could be a serviceable backup in the league? And it's like, there's no Jared. Just shut the fuck up. There's no Jared. You're just making this shit up.
But you have a Sheldon from North Dakota.
That was funny that got through. Yeah, that was the only thing that got through. I know Steve said, so they did not take a single call that Friday night. They had 3 calls, and they were all interviews. They were all sports reporters in the Denver area. They were not people calling in. So anywho, but yeah, to get back to the Chaps thing, I really think that if Chaps, he should take advice from his partner, Kate. Like, what did Kate do? She wrote a stupid fucking thing about the Communist Party of China, all that shit. The Minifans went after her. She played back. She made a video for Sacco, and it's like, okay, well, she's in on the joke. We kind of get it. If Chaps comes out and says like, this was just stupid of me. I should never have done this. I didn't know Kirk back then. I thought I was bigger then. I love it how he brings up how he was like the 12th or 13th guy at Barstool. Like, that's a fucking, like, who gives a shit? She's like, as soon as they moved to New York, they hired me. It's like, okay, well, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean dick. But yeah, I mean, but he's not going to. Something tells me the show might tweet out a clip of Kirk ripping Chaps today, and might have tagged Chaps. So he'll definitely be seeing something.
And if he sees it, like we said, just come out in front of it. Just do a mea culpa. That's all you got to do. A little mea culpa will go a long way with the Minifans in this. Because even on this, I don't even think he necessarily has to be funny or make a joke of it. It's just like, look, I was wrong. I fucked up. Let's move on to the like I'm on your side now. I get it. I backed an idiot. We all back idiots once in a while.
Yeah, it was just like, dude, just come on. You lost this battle. Like, we get it. You're very stick to your guns kind of guy, but dude, just come on. Like, the Minifans are someone you want on your side, but I don't know. He's a big pussy, so I doubt he'll ever do that. But I think the Minifans also let him off the hook back in. Like, if this happened now today, I think he would be enemy number one for a long, long time. I think the Minifans were still kind of figuring out what the relationship with Barstool was like in 2019. They were like, okay, is Kirk going to leave? Because I think if Kirk left, then he would have been enemy number one. But Kirk kind of stayed, so they kind of didn't go all in on attacking Chaps during that. And I like
Stella for keeping Steve's job. You got to remember that Stella too, keeping Steve's job throughout all
exactly. This. I forgot about that. That's right. And the Minifans will like the Zero Blog 30. I heard is a good podcast. It has a decent fan base, but I don't think Chaps knows that if he ever tried to get Steve or Kirk fired over something it wasn't even something like Kirk always says the time he put out on the podcast that promo, not the promo code, but that access code to get into the Barstool advertiser thing. He's like, that was fucking stupid. That wasn't right. It wasn't even something like on that. They were in the right. They were just talking shit about this guy. And Chaps is like, I'm the military guy. You don't touch the military. So I don't know. The guy's a fucking moron. His producer Cons. We all know about Cons. He's the biggest cheater in the Barstool.
Cheater Cons.
Yeah, he's the biggest cheater in the trivia universe. So we'll see about that. Speaking of Cons, let's jump quickly into. So there is trivia next week, and he will be one of the people. He'll be on Team Cheater with Casey and Feidelberg. I hate to lump Feidelberg in with those two, but I mean, you choose who you sleep with. So he's with Cons and Casey there. So it sounds like it's going to be recording either Monday night or Wednesday night, because I know Jeff records Monday, releases Tuesday, records Wednesday, releases Thursday for the 2 episodes. So I think that should be a very interesting. Will they be 2-1 or 1-2? There's like Kirk says, there's a world of difference there. So it'd be interesting to see exactly what comes of that. Will there be any repercussions? Will Steve quit if he does like shit? Will he stay? If he, it all depends. I know that I'm ready with a set of trivia questions to ask the show on Friday. So Steve was supposed to call me last Friday, but of course Jared, had some miscommunication. So I'm gonna ask you one question, and like this is kind of like in the style of the dozen.
All right.
So the category is going to be NBA.
Okay.
What team plays in the Vivint Arena?
The Vivint Arena?
Vivint Arena. Vivint. Vivint.
So that sounds. It's not Canadian, so it's definitely one of the other teams that's not Toronto. I'm going to have no clue at this, but I'm going to take a stab and say the Milwaukee Bucks.
That is incorrect. It is the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz. The other one is, let's see. We'll save it. We'll save it. I don't want to
save that one. No, but I think it's the one thing I think is going to happen, especially for this, mainly Casey and Cons, is this is going to be a highly watched dozen, because all the Minifans are going to do it. Not only are they going to watch it, they're going to be watching Cons and Casey like a hawk, and they're going to call out every little thing. So if you're Cons and Casey going into this, you got to know if there's any hint of a move of any chance you could be called for cheating. You got to be careful of that. And I think that's going to be a mind game that's going to work in Kirk's favor, because I see this one of two ways happening. If it's a close game and you can't see their hands and stuff, you're going to see a lot of call outs for potential cheating.
Mhm.
after the fact of the Minifans, or two, Kirk's gonna win by like 5-6 points. I'm not even gonna say the KMS team. Kirk's himself is gonna win by 5 or 6 points. But I do like,
So,
it was a good bring up that you brought up with the elimination of the mute and the double dip, because I think
yes.
that double dip is gonna help. And if they did somehow bring the mute back, if they muted Jared on a baseball question again, or even Kirk on a golf question, and they didn't have the double to use it, the best way to get around that, if you can ask questions, you can easily go AL or NL and try to break it down that way.
Yeah.
So you can give the silent clues and you'll be good to go.
Yes. So actually, what you said about the Minifans watching team cheater like a hawk, it actually already happens. If you go on YouTube and you like read the comments, they're fucking ruthless. If you don't show your hands or anything like that, people are calling you out. They've called out Cons, they call out Casey, they call out anyone. If there's even a hint of you guys cheating, actually, one things from the first episode of trivia that they were on, there was a lot of praise for Kirk and Steve, not for necessarily their performance, but they said everyone should be sitting like Kirk and Steve are right now.
Oh, I agree.
Back away from the camera, showing your hands, sitting on a couch, not being able, like, not on their phone. There was a lot of praise for that. So I will say, like, I know the Minifans will be watching, but there is a group of dozen fans who watch them like a hawk to make sure that
Kirk is a man of honesty and integrity, and that's why I think you had that first setup work so well. And if there's anyone that you have to be like, no, I'm not concerned about cheating, it's going to be Kirk. And
yes.
And if you don't know him, then you might think like what he does when he toys around in the golf categories. It's like, no, he knows his shit, and it's scary good how much he knows.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. I think that should be, kind of leading up. We'll talk about it more with Carabas on Friday if he makes it into studio. But yeah, there was other things that they talked about today that they kind of just like glanced over. I know I'm so sick of Bitcoin talk. I almost want to mute Steve and Mike on Twitter because they just retweet things about Bitcoin 24/7. It's just like, we get it. You have a lot of money. Like, I don't think these Bitcoin people realize they sound like a pyramid scheme when they just keep talking about, you need to invest this and you're guaranteed to get all this money. It's like over and over and over and over again. It's like, we get it. And it could very well not be, it making people millionaires and billionaires, and it's very exciting to see. But every other tweet is just like, oh, the Bitcoin bubble popped today and it's down 10%, or Bitcoin just reached 50,000 for the first time. Suck it, losers who said it wasn't going to reach $300 back in 2010 or wherever.
I think what's going to be coming a new thing is the Dogecoin people. That's going to be a new one. I mean, I will admit, I got into Dogecoin when it was well under a cent for like $10, and then I sold it at like 4 cents. So I was like, that's a nice win for me. But
I don't know. I don't care.
That's too smart for my blood.
I don't care about coins. I think they get into it a lot. So some other sound I cut up and sent to Steve last night was actually from your show, Kirkin' Off, where you interviewed Barstool Advisor. So I cut up some sound clips and sent to that. And there was so Kirk asked the question. I don't know if he listened to that show this week, but he did say, did Buddy ever apologize for his DEC handling of that interview, or
I don't, and again, from where I sat, it's Buddy was in that situation where it's you give him the rope, you let him hang himself type of a thing from it. And even when when you guys played the BA cut, Kirk even said, what's the follow-up? And you even heard BMD come in and just be like, well, you can't really say that. Because honestly, it's when anyone talks about a contract negotiation, I've personally never gotten the hint from the show that there's any worry about Kirk's contract with Barstool. It's very clear that they seem very happy with one another. Mm-hmm. And I think even when you see the Danny from Billerica shirt come up, that's another one of those things that maybe back when the show first started, you might not have seen that type of shirt get put out, like merch for St. Patrick's Day. So I think now, like, to the point that BA made right, is Kirk is more Mr. Barstool than he was when he first came in, which I think is beneficial to both. And when you bring in now, like you heard today, they have the meeting for the case premier sponsor. I think if you're looking at those two things, and from what Kirk has said on the show about Portnoy's and Nardini's responses to the case, they think this could be something huge. So I think from that, they're going to both sit at the table, and from the tone I get from Kirk and the tone that he portrays off of Nardini and Portnoy. And again, it brings up a good point that I think there's been a lot of Minifans on the Dave Portnoy show who've been trying to get the questions in that Eddie hasn't been reading. So if we can get some of those questions read, maybe this week, next week on the Dave Portnoy show, it'll bring some more clarity to kind of all we can do right now is speculate from the Barstool side. I think it's very clear what Kirk wants and what Kirk sees to succeed, and he doesn't seem overly worried about it. So that gives me as a fan confidence that he's still like at least going to be here for the short term and hopefully throughout his original contract. Mm-hmm. But it would be nice to hear in a professional setting, either on Token CEO or the Dave Portnoy show, just kind of a nice like update with, because we all know where it's the option set to be picked up soon before, like, to know one way or another to at least for that.
But that's really the only thing we know. Like, that's why it just goes up my ass sideways whenever people talk about contract negotiations, is because we have no fucking, we know that he signed a 2-year deal and there's an option for a third. We don't know when exactly he needs to sign it. We don't know if there's any conversations. So whenever people go off and say, oh, Kirk's using this as to, excel or boost his new contract with Barstool Sports, it's just everyone talking out of their ass. No one knows besides Kirk. I think Kirk has said on the podcast before that the only people who truly know his contract situation is him, Erica Nardini, and Dave Portnoy. So unless this BA talked to Dave Portnoy over the weekend and got like, oh, they're asking for this much, but if they weren't doing the case, they would only get it just goes up my ass sideways whenever.
It's just, even for BA though, I think all he was doing was just speculating, and I don't know why he put himself in, like, I guess the way it would have been easier to say was like, if I was in Kirk's shoes, I would have handled it differently. And that's, and you know what, everyone's going to handle things differently. I would
have handled it exactly the same.
Yeah, no, I mean, what Kirk did so well with that golden ticket was he knew he would capitalize on like a golden ticket for a Minifan is like a big deal. Like a lot of people donated and a lot of people wanted to get that ticket. So you have and I think and where, I mean, I'll take the brunt on this. I should have spoken up like with that, because I don't think if Kirk said we're gonna raise this much and I'll match it for the Barstool Fund, I don't think that would have gotten as much as the golden ticket, even with Kirk's match alone. So and also the other thing is, like, who's to say Kirk didn't privately donate to the Barstool Fund? Did he? I don't know. I think he. I would assume he might have, but he's definitely pushing some promotion out to it too.
I would assume that I don't give a fuck if Kirk donated to the Barstool Fund, because I mean he raised like that $90-some thousand would not have been raised if it was not for Kirk Seamus Minahan. So
no, it's a. If do I care if he did? Yes or no? No, I don't care if he did or not, because just that golden ticket enough is far more than what many other people have done, even at Barstool. So that's the cheers you got to give for that.
Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to touch about is kind of personal. I was brought up on today's show. Kirk said I was doing a, what did he say, spectacular job. So I appreciate that. I'm trying my best. But then he also mentioned how's intern Dustin doing, and he DMs me every once in a while. He sends me some phone numbers for some people that we might want to call, but I can't just straight up just call him on the wrap up show, because I just don't. I can't do that. So, he still listens. He's still in the world. I'm sure he's working on a big project or something like that for the show. He's
a newborn.
So that was interesting.
I was going to say, it's as long as you don't let it get to your head, I think you'll be doing fine. You've had the one thing I'll say with you, it's that when I remember when I first reached out to you, when the whole All in the Minute family thing happened, it was like you were very good off the bat of being like, all right, I fucked up. And I think that self-responsibility is something I think that resonates with the show, because basically if when it comes down and they get into all these topics, they just want self-responsibility for all these idiots who come out, say one thing, do another thing. It's the hypocrisy of shit. And you owned up. You're like, yeah, I fucked up. And I think I mean, going on the following week doing the Gallon Challenge, bravo, bravo.
I'll admit when I'm going to fuck up again. Like, let's get that very straight. There's going to be a time when Kirk calls me up and calls me a shithead and contemplates firing me, possibly even firing me. But yeah, no, I mean that. I talked to Mike this morning because he had a question about something, and he was like, "You got brought up on today's show," and I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "What did I do?" I never know when I'm getting the call. Like, what the fuck is this? Why are you saying this? But he's like, no. He said you're doing a good job and everything like that. So,
do you have a specific ringtone for Kirk or Steve when they call, so you know you need to pick up right away?
Nope. My ringtone.
I would recommend doing that.
My ringtone is "Damn It" by Blink-182. It's been that way since I was in 10th grade, and it's going to stay that way. So yeah. So I don't know if there's anything else from today's show that you wanted to cover. I know Steve really got into that. I want to know more about this Marty Walsh thing that he's been requesting, this Public Freedom of Information Act that the campaign office just keeps on flushing it down the toilet, because I think there can be a point where like Steve might be able to sue about this stuff.
Well, there is a lawsuit that's available in Steve's favor if they don't give him the information in a quote unquote timely manner. So when you break it down into that, it's when you do it the public records request, depending upon what he asked. My only educated guess from my background would say that right now they've compiled at least all the documents that Steve wants. And what's probably going on is the city's lawyers are looking through all those documents and are probably redacting some information that is legally allowed to be redacted. So like addresses and things like that of private citizens or anything else involved of that nature. So I that would be my only guess as to why there would be some sort of delay. I suppose it's when you do anything with government officials, it's going to take forever. And I think Steve, coming from the Howie Carr show, should kind of have some expectation of that in the background. But it's really interesting that now you would think that, again, any rational person would think the Biden administration would also be asking for these informations, because if someone like Steve can find it very easily, who's kind of in the know, if you're vetting for a presidential cabinet position, you are looking everywhere. You're doing a full body cavity search, naked. You're sticking fingers everywhere. You're looking for every situation.
I gotta get vetted for a cabinet position pretty soon. I mean, I know Steve's like really into it. I think it has something. He said it has something to do with something over the summer, so that could be,
There's two things that really stand out that have been like a blemish with Marty Walsh was the labor contracts with that thing, the labor that they actually were in court for, his staff members were in court for. And the other thing I think is you could look at would be something with his girlfriend's consulting firm or whatever the hell that. Yeah, whatever the hell it is, that's funneling money to help each other out.
Yeah, so I don't know, that could turn into something. I don't know if there's anything else from today's show you wanted to hit on or anything like that before we wrap this up. I mean,
yeah, the edgy Kevin talk, which is always
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, coming back into the world. It's again, he is probably the biggest listener of the show, Kevin Clancy. Like, he can't get enough. And Kirk even said today he talks to Clancy a lot, which I would not doubt, just because their two personalities, I think, mesh so well with one another. And I would love one day when they're doing like rotating like guests, like maybe on a Wednesday show, if they could somehow set it up so that Kevin could, like, I would love just for one show to see what it's like to have Kirk and Kevin in a show together. I think it'd be great. It would be amazing.
I think it would be great. Tim from Canton would be, paying close attention to that show. I do think it's funny that during the whole rant about Kevin today, Kirk goes, "Yeah, I still don't really understand Tim from Canton's hate about it, but it's so true." When they were talking about how he called him Tom from Canton, it's like, "Oh, haha, you're doing that funny thing where you pretend to forget someone's name or, mispronounce the name."
I will even say this: if you look on a keyboard when you're typing, the I is directly next to the O. And Tim and Tom, they're both male names, so you also can look at that situation. I'm actually looking at my keyboard right now. That's why. I mean, I think he did it purposely.
He 100% did it purposely.
But it's still slip-ups right there.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Kirk said is right. Kevin's not a real enemy. He's kind of like, he's playing the Brandon Walker role better than Brandon Walker, because Brandon Walker tried to be like this, oh, I hate the Minifans, they're a bunch of idiots, blah blah blah. But then like it just went away because it's like, dude, you suck at the not necessarily fake, but kind of just being like, you guys are morons, you have no idea what you're talking about. I think Kevin plays that role perfectly. I'd love to see him be a part of more shows in the future. And I think it would be cool for the Minifans to kind of have someone at Barstool HQ in kind of like the top, the top. I know we had K Marco, but I really wouldn't consider him a top person at Barstool anymore. Someone who, we can shit on, we can try to pull sound of for when he says something stupid and stuff like that. But yeah, anyway, that pretty much does it for today's show. I said, anything else you?
No, it was a good show. I'm excited for it. We'll see what Wednesday brings, and we'll see if Jared can remember to actually show up in the studio on time.
Yeah, I'm excited for Wednesday's show. I think that could be I don't know, because it sounded last week like Kirk's trip wherever he went. I believe he went down to South Carolina again. Might have been kind of the last trip before they kind of started get things rolling. I'm talking out of my ass here. I have no idea, but they said he could either put an end to it. It could open up more things, and so who knows? We might be getting. Hopefully, we get episode 1 of The Case pretty soon. So,
I mean, I don't even need an episode. I just want a teaser, like a 2-minute, 1 minute, just intro to what's it like. Just more information. That's what I want.
Yes,
eventually.
Yes. just like a name or something like that. But it's but yeah, no. So that should be good. Before we wrap up, I'd like to mention again the Jared baseball card promotion I'm having. I know my boy Andrew has already signed up for it. So all you have to do is wherever you listen to this, or if you listen to it on the YouTube, just subscribe and give it a like and DM me that. If you listen to it through podcast, just make sure you're subscribed and 5-star review. Just send me that through either email, Trudell@barstoolsports.com, on Twitter, just however you get it to me. So I have 10 of these to give away. It's going to be a blast. So that about does it for the wrap-up show today. Thank you to Andrew for joining me, and thank you to everyone listening. Oh, I was about to say, yeah, so we are blitzing Ben Albright's show again tonight from 9 to 1. So we'll be busy doing that, trying to get some calls through. So if you're up for that, I'll be posting everything everywhere. So make sure to be a part of that, because hopefully we get some funny calls through. Make sure you're recording on your own end. Don't try to be too obvious on the like with the call screener. Normally there's some stupid college kid that you can normally get by if you just just pretend like you have no idea what they're talking about. What you say to the call screener and what you say on air do not need to be related. You can just be like, yeah, I want to talk about John Elway's GMing or something like that, and then they'll be like,
John Elway should trade Drew Lock and the 2nd and 3rd round pick for Deshaun Watson and give the Texans $10 million for cap relief. There you go.
Yeah, something stupid.
That one will get in.
So, and then if they ask you about anything, just be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So, okay, guys, thank you for listening, and I will talk to everyone